Who is the wide receiver one in the 2026 NFL draft? That's the big question that we've been asking. We've done the show for Carnell Tate, for Mekhi Lemon, for Jordan Tyson, and Casey Concepcion. This is the final installment in who is the wide receiver one in the 2026 NFL draft class. We're about 2 weeks out from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where we will be with the player profiler and roster watch team doing 3 days of NFL draft coverage like we have for the last 5 years. I'm Cody Carpentier with the Draft Ranking Show. I appreciate y'all for locking in, tapping in every single day, 7 days a week, actually 5 days a week, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Appreciate y'all for clicking the like button and clicking subscribe. The day of the draft, Thursday, in 2 weeks, will be the final show pre-draft where I'll drop my final mock draft Thursday morning. It'll drop probably 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll record that thing super, super duper late, right as we turn that baby in at midnight for the huddle report, and it'll drop at the crack of dawn on Thursday. Today, we're going to be talking about Denzel Boston, as I brought up before, the wide receiver by way of Washington. Redshirt junior, 6'3.5", 212 pounds. Think he runs somewhere in that mid 4.4, potentially 4.5 range is kind of where we have him predicted. He's 22 years old this year, broke out age 20 at Washington, 19.7 to be exact. Modest yards per team pass attempt, modest yards per out run, 2.44. Was responsible for over 31% of his team's total production in 2025. Double-digit touchdowns in the receiving side, one of just half dozen players to do so at the Power 5 level in this draft. Him, Boston, Mekhi Lemon. We had Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt at Indiana, Skylar Bell, Cyrus Allen from Cincinnati, and that was the group. And one of my favorite things, I guess, about Denzel Boston is his red zone ability and red zone command. 20 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons in the red zone. He's the 9th highest graded receiving wide receiver according to PFF in the receiving grade. The players that kind of come to mind with Denzel Boston, to me, it's a little bit of Puka Nacua, but with a lower body similar to T. Higgins and red zone ability close to T. Higgins. And I wonder about the floor with Denzel Boston. So the flat circle theory we talk about in the NFL draft is one where by the time we get to late April and the draft is here, the things that were talked about in December and January come back around to April. And all the time in between, the February and March fugaze disappears. And if you take that corollary, if you take that to heart, Denzel Boston will be a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL draft. Right now, it's a lot of helium for Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver from Indiana, who we will not be doing a video on specifically. But Denzel Boston is one that, do I wholeheartedly believe he should be in this wide receiver one conversation? No. But I do think that there's a range of outcomes that in 4 or 5 years you look back and he was the number one in this class, because this wide receiver class, it's minutia. This whole top 5 is a lot of feels here. Like we've talked about on previous shows, Jordan Tyson would be the hands down number one wide receiver had not injuries existed. But injuries exist, soft tissue and scare, and collarbone and ACL and hamstring, it all exists. Casey Concepcion has drop issues. We get that. He had a knee cleanup as well. Mekhi Lemon is a menace. He's also a little bit slow and a little bit small. Carnell Tate never proved he could be a number one. Well, Denzel Boston was the number one. He had 880 yards, 11 touchdowns this last year. And he did it with a new quarterback in Damon Williams, who is run first at Washington. That was his job. His job was to run first, hand off second, throw the ball to Denzel Boston third. And that's just the way it was. Back-to-back 800-yard seasons, 20 touchdowns the last 2 years. Like that's what Denzel Boston brought to you. Not an elite situation to be in. Will Rogers went up there to play quarterback for him last year or 2 years ago under Jed Fish. The result was not exactly what they wanted. They went 6-7, and then in 2025, they handed the reins off to Damon Williams, like I said before. And the overall passing output drops off by about, 10%, right? And then the running, 143 carries for Damon Williams. Then you had Jonah Coleman, who's also in this class. The running back, 156 carries. Adam Muhammad, 106 carries. 454 total carries on the season for Washington. 417 the year before. So it's just overall output just came down in 2025. And I believe that Denzel Boston in his own right could argue that he's the one of this whole group that proved, outside of Jordan Tyson, but Jordan Tyson missed so many games, that Denzel Boston proved like, yo, drop me in any of their situations and see what I can do. And I think that that's a believable thing in what Denzel Boston brings to the table. There's a rumor out there. There's people talking about it that this is David Boston's son. It's not. Denzel Boston's dad's name is Chris. He's from the Washington area. It's not David Boston, the wide receiver, formerly of the Chargers, the jacked, analytical Adonis of a wide receiver from about 20 years ago. Is not the father of Denzel Boston. Insert that gif. You are not the father. No, but I think Denzel Boston's really fun. The thing that worries me the most is the floor with a guy like Denzel Boston. It reminds me too much of Keon Coleman. That's the number one thing I think that's scaring me a little bit, is the Keon Coleman comparison. But I don't think it's I don't think it's a great comp. I just think it's one of those ones that enters the fray from a play style perspective. And I don't think he's as maniacal as Keon Coleman. I think he's a little more clean and refined. He brings some ability in the punt return game, which at his size is different, I guess you'd say. He's a ball player. We'll just leave it at that. This is going to be a guy that's going to come in every single day, the proverbial lunchbox, I think. I think he's got great body control, an elite catch radius. He's a very good salesman of route running. I think he's fully committed. And I think he might be the most underrated wide receiver in this wide receiver one conversation. Who is the wide receiver one? Everyone wants to talk about Mekhi Lemon. Everyone wants to talk about Carnell Tate. Everyone wants to talk about Jordan Tyson. I get it. And I love Casey Concepcion. That's my flavor. But there are a lot of people out there. There's going to be a lot of teams out there that do enjoy the Denzel Boston flavor. I mean, we did see Rome Odunze at 6'3", 212 pounds just come out of Washington a couple of years ago. There's people that also still don't like Rome. Rome's a really good wide receiver. And you're seeing the Chicago Bears put some trust in him right now. That's Denzel Boston. I believe in Denzel Boston. I do not believe he's the number one wide receiver in this class, but I do believe he is one of the top 5 wide receivers in the 2026 NFL draft class.